Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you've not already noticed, we have a group of case knives in front of you today. And that's because we're going to be talking about case knives, specifically collecting case knives. And so it's going to be a fascinating discussion. I'm going to have to split the video up into a series, maybe 4 series, maybe 3 series. I'm not really sure yet, but I'm going to start this out by just talking about collecting case knives, why you should do it, some of the pitfalls, um, things like that. So it's going to be a general discussion about case knives and collecting them. And overall, I think the series is going to be really, really interesting to you. And so I hope you check out the video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Hi to all my viewers. Bonjour, privet, guten tag, hola, ciao, konnichiwa, and good day, mate, to my foreign viewers. And the reason I do that, guys, is and gals, is 50% of my viewers are from overseas, so I'm just trying to relate there and trying to respect them, not meaning to disrespect you. So, hi to everybody. We're going to be talking about case knives and collecting case knives, and it's you're talking about a company that has 148 years of history, and so it's a really big subject. I did a history on case knives. I'll leave that link in the description for you, but that it stretches a very long period of time. So let me just define that right now before we go any further. So the oldest case knives are Case Brother knives, dating to 1896 when they first started peddling knives. Those knives were not made by them. They were made by other people, and they were just selling them, but they had their names on them. Those are very hard to get a hold of. Every now and then you might come across a poor example. I think most of the good examples are up in collections now. And in 1902, Case Brothers built a factory and started selling knives. So those knives are available. I don't have any, again. I don't have any to share with you, but that's when the collecting starts on knives, I think, that you can readily get a hold of. Shortly after that, W.R. Case and Sons started producing knives. That's these knives right here. The knives we love to collect, and I think most people collect, are these W.R. Case and Son knives right here. And they have a long history also. Now, the Case brothers went out of business fairly early, around 1916 and 1915. They went out of business in 1916, but so most of the knives you're going to come across are W.R. Case and Son knives, and so the way I'm going to divide the collecting advice to you up is based upon the age. And what I'm going to concentrate on is knives from 1920 to 1940. That is the case tested era. So that's an example right there. There's also a number of different tang stamps in this area that Case used. We'll touch base on them also. And then the next era that you would be talking about is the Case XX era. These run from 1940 to 1964. That tang stamp right there. And again, there are some different tang stamps they use. These are the major tang stamps that you'll come across. And then a very short era was the Case XX USA. And this one also has stainless on it, but of course the CVs would just be Case XX USA on there. That only lasted 4 years. So in 1970 starts the era of the dots, and it was Case XX USA and dots. As time went on, when you go into the 80s, the tank stamp varies a little bit in the same type of thing, but since that time they continued to put the dots on there. In 1990 to 1993, very briefly, they were actually putting a date on these knives. Then when you get into the new millennium, the year 2000, you can see that right there is a 2001 knife. And so that's what I call a modern case knife. That's not official by anybody's guideline or anything like that. It's just what I do. And that's how I separate my case collection, is you have the modern knives from 2000 on. I consider anything modern. I realize that's almost 25 years ago, and that may be getting dated, but that's a change that you see in these knives. During each one of these time frames, there was some change going on in the company. I won't say that precipitated the change in tang stamp, but they were just evolving. And as time goes on, companies do different things, and this is a convenient and easy way to divide these up. Another reviewer, another case collector might separate these into different categories. That's fine. This is just the way that I did it. I think it'll be easy to follow and easy to grasp those divisions in the knives. So case knives are probably the most collectible knives in the world. I really can't think offhand of another knife company that carries the value that Case does consistently throughout time. Certainly there are other knives that you can collect that may be valued higher than a Case, but those knives were probably more of an individual type of thing. Say a Bowie knife from the 1840s by a specific maker might well go into a much greater value than a Case would be. But the value of them is such that it's kind of prohibitive to get knives like these. This mint condition Case knife. This knife is like it's never been used right here, and it's an XX USA stainless, and it's $11.99, I think. Yeah, $11.99. The Whaler, Case XX Whaler. So it's really hard to find knives in this condition that you don't have to pay $5,000 or more for. And so there's a lot of different models of case knives. Some are worth more than others based upon, how many were made, how many are still out there, that kind of thing. So if you're going to collect the vintage case knives, for instance, a book like this, a collector book, whether it be this one or another one, is kind of imperative for you, because you can see in these books the different model numbers and kind of what the going price might be around in them, so you have some idea of what you're looking for. The other thing is, because of the value of these knives, they're probably the most counterfeited. And so if you're looking for a knife in a particular time frame, for instance, if you're looking for modern knives, I don't think you have to worry about these being counterfeited, except maybe out of China. But all in all, you get these from retail stores or an individual, and you don't really have to worry about it. The value on these are not that high that you have to worry about it. But when you're looking at knives from 1920 or before 1920 and up into the 70s, these knives can and have been counterfeited. So you really need a book like this. You need to target the knife you're after. So I'll look at a pattern and say, okay, like this pattern right here is the 31. I'll look at this pattern right here and learn about what scale materials the pattern came in, what's the length of the pattern, what blades it came in, which is really important because the way people counterfeit these, they will take another knife frame and put a case blade in it. The other thing that they do is they'll take a case frame and put a different knife blade in it, but they'll ground out the maker on the tank stamp here, and they'll stamp it case. And so knowing a little bit of what to look for, one, you definitely want to know what knife you're looking for and what blades that it came in. So if a particular case knife came in 2 blade styles, a clip point and a spear point, and then you have one here that is not a spear point. Let's say it was a California a clip point or a sheep's foot, you would know this was a counterfeit right away. And so that's really important if you're going to go out and spend $200 and up for a knife to put in your collection. You want to know it's genuine, and the best way to do that is get these collector books and really do your homework before you go looking at these knives. I've seen a lot of knives, a real growing trend on eBay is old vintage knives from case, and then when you look at them, they look mint. And so you might get a knife like this that has some good wear on it, and then it's a mirror finish. There's no problem with the blade whatsoever. And what they've done is ground this blade down to a mirror finish. And so especially if this was I might accept that better than if it was full. So if this was a full geometry blade, was not worn, and it was a mirror finish, it's hard to tell whether that would have been counterfeited or not. And so that's why collectors prefer blades that have not been cleaned up and mirror polished or anything like that. They'd rather look at a knife that is patinaed and has its original wear, so they could tell better whether that blade is genuine or not. And so another thing you can look for is these pops in the rivets. Now, it's not unusual to have a rivet pop like that. Blades are twisted, and sometimes it happens. But it is an indicator that the blade has been changed in the knife. And so knowing what blade these knives came in will really help you to determine whether somebody's pieced together a knife that's really worthless. And so doing your homework when you're collecting these old cases is absolutely essential to getting what you expect to get. So there is some ways, some things that you can do to save a little bit of money when you're collecting these old vintage knives. And, one of them is to look for knives like these. So this rough black here is not very popular amongst collectors. They're looking for the higher quality bone or mother of pearl or some other handle material. And so just going with a black scale material tends to bring the price down to a reasonable price. And then also, just being able to accept a knife that is not in mint condition or even excellent condition, but one that is in good condition. This knife here, the blades are worn pretty good, but it's an excellent example of model 79. And This is a pre-1940 knife here, otherwise in really good condition. And so you can save a lot of money and get some good knives by just, accepting a little bit less in the knife. This one here is in good condition. I wouldn't put it in excellent condition, but it's in pretty good condition. You can see some nasty blade cuts there in the knife, and that makes them a little more affordable. As I count pattern numbers in case knives, I get 148 or so listed patterns that you can find in collector books. And then there's multiple variations of those patterns. And there's also a slew of knife patterns that Case made that's not identified. And so those are patterns that are believed to be Case knives based upon construction, materials, all that stuff. But they're not listed in a catalog, and they're not easily identified. They don't have Case on them. Sometimes they have Case on them. They're just unknown patterns. And so you're talking a lot of different patterns there that you can collect. Gives you a lot to collect. If you're trying, for instance, to collect all the patterns of Case, it could take you a lifetime to do that. And another thing is Case didn't fully mark their knives with pattern numbers until 1949. So there you're going to find a lot of Case knives. This is one right here that doesn't have the pattern number on it, but this is a 79. There's no doubt about that, but you can see it's not listed. I don't believe it was worn off. I just don't think this has a pattern number. This is a 1920 to 1940 knife. So, yeah, I just think it doesn't have a pattern number on it. So that's another reason why you need a collector book to collect these knives, because you want to be able to identify what you have. You can do that through a book, but without a book, you're not really going to know what you're getting, what the value is, whether you really need it, whether you already have one in your collection. And so, really, really important to have good reference material when you're collecting Case knives. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. I've given you a few things. Every video, I will give you stuff. We'll talk about how these knives the model numbers are identified, the model numbers, what everything means. We'll talk about the different materials that they're used, and we'll talk about each and every one of these eras that these knives were produced in, to give you better collector information as you specifically do it. And again, 148-year history, you just see a sampling here. And it's a lot of information, so I'm going to split it up in a bunch of different videos. This was just kind of a beginner video to let you know what's involved in collecting Case knives. And, it's very rewarding. It's fun. It's exciting when you can find a Case knife, out on the road in a pawn shop, or in a antique store, or in a yard sale or estate sale, and even when you get them off a line, that's in good shape, identifiable, affordable, and it's pretty exciting to have a piece of history like this. When you have a Case, you have a piece of Americana, and it's a worldwide recognized company and pattern. And so you're really getting something when you get one of these Case knives, by the way. And it's not only the old ones. That is true for the new ones. They are collected all over the world. And a lot of people lament that they can't get a hold of knives as we get a hold of them, as easily as we get a hold of them. So just a really cool knife brand to collect. And I did not, by the way, collect these for a long, long time in my knife collecting. It was one of the last companies I started collecting was Case Knives. So I'm enjoying it. I'm still able to find good knives at affordable prices. And as long as I can do that, I'll continue to collect them. Maybe one day I'll spend $10,000 for a case knife. You know, that would have to be after my wife passed away, because without her insurance money, there is no way I'm going to be able to spend that kind of money on a knife. So thanks again. Thanks for supporting the video. I hope to see you guys today in the live show. This will probably come out after the live show, but anyhow, thanks again, guys.